Stop everything. A deputy prime minister just got caught red-handed in a £150,000 property scandal that's about to destroy Labour's credibility forever. And the evidence, it's absolutely damning. I'm about to show you documents that prove Angela Rayner didn't just make a mistake. She orchestrated a calculated financial scheme while ordinary families can't even afford rent. If you want the truth behind Britain's biggest political scandal right now, hit subscribe and that notification bell, because this is about to get explosive, and I guarantee you won't see this level of detail anywhere else. Before we dive into this bombshell, let me paint you the scene. It's Tuesday morning. Keir Starmer walks into Downing Street, thinking his biggest challenge is preparing for Prime Minister's questions, maybe dealing with some Conservative attacks about the economy. Standard political Tuesday stuff. Then his phone buzzes. Then it doesn't stop buzzing. Fresh documents have just surfaced. Land registry papers, legal filings, financial records, and they tell a story so shocking, so calculated, so perfectly orchestrated, that it makes House of Cards look like a children's bedtime story. Here's what happened, and I want you to follow this carefully because every detail matters. Angela Rayner, Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, the woman who's supposed to be Starmer's most trusted ally, has been caught manipulating property valuations in what can only be described as a masterclass in creative accounting. The smoking gun, her family home in Ashton-under-Lyne, mysteriously jumped in value from £487,500 to £650,000 overnight. That's not a market fluctuation. That's not a property boom. That's a £162,500 increase that her lawyers are calling an administrative error. And I've got news for you. Errors don't usually come with six-figure price tags and perfect timing. But here's where it gets absolutely diabolical. This wasn't just about inflating property values for ego or bragging rights. This was strategic, calculated, because that magical £162,500 earnings increase allowed Rayner to do something very specific. Sell exactly 25% of her home to her son's trust for £162,500. Now, before you think this is some heartwarming family story about a mother helping her disabled son, let me show you the real game being played here. That £162,500 from selling a quarter of her house to the trust, it became the deposit for her £800,000 flat in Hove, East Sussex. The same flat where she conveniently forgot to pay £40,000 in stamp duty. Are you starting to see the pattern? This isn't a series of innocent mistakes. This is financial engineering disguised as family planning. And it gets worse. The trust money, the £160,000 that was supposed to secure her disabled son's future, became Rayner's personal property investment fund. While she was publicly championing affordable housing and criticising property speculation, she was privately building a portfolio that would make a buy-to-let landlord jealous. Let me break down this timeline for you, because it's more choreographed than a West End musical, and every movement was deliberate. January 2024, Rayner sells 25% of her Ashton home to her son's trust for £162,500. This gives her immediate cash while technically keeping the property in the family. February 2024, that exact £162,500 becomes the deposit on her Sussex coastal retreat. She takes out a £650,000 mortgage for the remaining balance. March 2024. Suddenly, miraculously, a valuation error is discovered on the original property, the same property she just used to justify the trust's sale. Convenient timing? You decide. Throughout this period, Rayner is publicly advocating for housing policies, speaking about the struggles of working families, positioning herself as the authentic voice of Northern England. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. This is a woman who built her political brand on understanding ordinary people's struggles while simultaneously playing property markets like a seasoned investor. But let's talk about what this means for Keir Starmer, because this isn't just Angela Rayner's problem anymore. This is his worst political nightmare coming true in high definition. Starmer has spent the last 2 years on a mission: clean up Labour's image, move past the chaos of the Jeremy Corbyn era, position the party as the responsible alternative to Conservative incompetence. He's been methodical, disciplined, almost boring in his determination to prove Labour can be trusted with power. Then his Deputy Prime Minister, the woman he chose to represent Labour's working-class credentials, hands the Conservative Party the perfect weapon wrapped in a bow with a gift tag that reads, "Please destroy us in the next election." The Conservative response has been swift and predictable. Richard Holden, their party chairman, is demanding complete transparency, and for once, you can't blame them for political opportunism. When your opponent's deputy prime minister is caught in a web of property deals that require forensic accountants to understand, you don't waste the opportunity. Holden's statement hits every political pressure point. This raises fresh questions for Angela Rayner that she must answer. Translation: we're not letting this go, and every day Starmer defends her is another day we can question Labour's judgment. The Conservative attack strategy is crystal clear. They're not just going after Rayner, they're using her to undermine Starmer's entire leadership credibility. If he can't manage his deputy, how can he manage the country? It's political warfare 101, and it's devastatingly effective. Meanwhile, Rayner's legal team is working overtime trying to contain this fire. Their official response? It was an administrative error with no wider significance. Let me translate that from lawyer speak to English. Please look the other way while we figure out how to explain this. But here's the problem with that defense. When your administrative errors involve six-figure property revaluations that coincidentally enable complex financial transactions, people start asking uncomfortable questions. Questions like, how many other errors are there? Who benefited from these mistakes? And why do these errors always seem to work in the politician's favour? The human element of this story makes it even more complex and, frankly, more disturbing. Rayner's son received compensation in 2020, and setting up a trust for a disabled child is not only legal but responsible parenting. Any parent would want to secure their child's financial future, but using that trust as your personal property investment vehicle crosses a moral line that goes beyond legal technicalities. It's one thing to set up financial security for your child. It's another to treat that security as your own private bank for property speculation. The ripple effects through the Labour Party are already visible, and they're devastating. Rayner has resigned from all her government positions and stepped down as deputy leader of the Labour Party. But, and this is crucial, she's keeping her MP salary and staying in Parliament. It's the political equivalent of a celebrity checking into rehab after a scandal. Strategic retreat, not genuine accountability. She gets to avoid the daily grind of government responsibility while keeping the financial benefits and platform of being an MP. For Labour MPs, this creates an impossible situation. Do they defend their former deputy and risk being associated with the scandal? Do they distance themselves and appear disloyal? Do they stay silent and look complicit? The timing couldn't be worse for Labour. They've been gaining ground in polls, looking like a government in waiting, presenting themselves as the stable alternative to years of Conservative chaos. Then their own Deputy Prime Minister creates a scandal that makes Boris Johnson's wallpaper controversy look like a minor interior decorating disagreement. But here's what makes this story absolutely infuriating for ordinary British families. While you're struggling with record-high mortgage rates, energy bills that require a second mortgage to pay, and rental prices that would make a London estate agent blush, Rayner has been treating the property market like her personal monopoly board. The disconnect between political rhetoric and personal reality has never been more stark. This is a woman who's made a career out of understanding working-class struggles while building a property portfolio that most working-class families could never dream of accessing. The investigation by HM Revenue and Customs adds another layer of complexity to this already convoluted situation. And let me be clear about something. When Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs starts investigating your property dealings, you're in serious trouble. These aren't the people who accept administrative error explanations for £150,000 discrepancies. They're the financial equivalent of bloodhounds. They have access to every document, every transaction, every piece of financial communication. And once they've got your scent, they don't give up. The HMRC investigation could take months, possibly years. During that entire time, this scandal will hang over Labour like a dark cloud. Every Prime Minister's questions will feature Conservative attacks. Every policy announcement will be overshadowed by questions about Rayner's properties. What's particularly galling is the broader context of Britain's housing crisis. While Rayner was playing property portfolio roulette, ordinary families were being priced out of home ownership entirely. Young people are stuck in expensive rental properties, unable to save for deposits because rent takes up 50% or more of their income. Meanwhile, their Deputy Prime Minister was using financial instruments most people have never heard of to build a property empire. The symbolism is toxic, and the optics are worse than a vampire taking a selfie in direct sunlight. This scandal represents everything that's fundamentally broken about British politics, the complex financial arrangements that ordinary people can't access or understand, the legal teams that can magically discover six-figure errors at convenient moments, the resignation that feels more like strategic career management than genuine accountability. It's politics as usual, dressed up in the language of mistakes and misunderstandings. It's the same old story of politicians who preach integrity while practicing creative accounting. It's why trust in politics is at an all-time low, and why people are increasingly cynical about whether any politician truly represents their interests. The British public deserves better than this circus. We deserve politicians who don't need teams of lawyers to explain their house purchases, who don't discover massive valuation errors at conveniently opportune moments, who don't use family trusts as personal investment vehicles while lecturing us about financial responsibility. We deserve leaders who understand that public service means exactly that: service to the public, not service to your property portfolio. We deserve politicians whose financial arrangements are so straightforward that they could explain them to a child without needing a team of accountants and lawyers. But more than anything, we deserve honesty, real accountability, not strategic resignations and damage control, but genuine acknowledgement of wrongdoing and meaningful consequences. This story isn't going away. HMRC investigations don't disappear because someone resigns from government. More documents will surface, more questions will be asked, and Rayner's answers so far, they're not adding up and the public isn't buying them. Starmer's leadership is now defined by this moment. How he handles this scandal will determine whether Labour can maintain its credibility as the party of change, or whether they'll be seen as just another group of politicians who say one thing while doing another. The stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just about one person's property deals. It's about trust in politics. It's about whether politicians truly understand the struggles of the people they claim to represent. It's about the fundamental question: are they in this for public service or personal profit? What do you think? Is this a genuine series of mistakes or calculated financial manipulation disguised as family planning? Are you buying the administrative error excuse? Or do you smell something rotten in Westminster? And most importantly, should Keir Starmer have seen this coming? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I want to know what you're thinking. If you want more unfiltered political truth without the mainstream media spin, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because tomorrow's scandal is already brewing in the corridors of Westminster. And when it breaks, you won't want to miss my take on what's really happening behind those closed doors. Trust me, in British politics, the next bombshell is always just around the corner.